Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, all praise, honor, and glory is to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Much due honors and respect to all you brothers out there that's also laboring in this work and continuing to push out this gospel in all true faith and sincerity. So the topic of this lesson is pretty much going to be centered around the fact that Esau, the so-called white man, the devil, is preparing war against you Israelites right as we speak. Which you Israelites consist of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You are indeed the biblical Israelites. And the so-called white man is waging war on you in the form of martial law. All right? Because if you know anything about what's going on over there in France, well, the president of France, he just signed martial law into law, which is major concern in the time of Jacob's trouble. Meaning these devils will be able to kick in your door at any time of night, apprehend you, place you under curfew, all right, frisk you down, and pretty much just throw you off in some concentration camp to be tortured. Well, guess what? That's ultimately going to spill over here in America. Because what's interesting is in the latest presidential approval rating, that poll, which came out maybe a couple of weeks ago, how convenient this devil, Macron, all right, the president of France, who just signed martial law into law, how convenient, how ironic he was on the top of that poll. He was ranked number one in the president approval ratings. Why is that relevant? Because these different governments going to follow suit. They're going to sign martial law into law. See, these devils is slick, man. Right up under your nose, they bringing forth that whole new world order. And the vehicle they're going to use to institute it is martial law, which is nothing more than a declaration of war on you Israelites. All right? And what we push here at Great Millstone, that's primarily the essence of what we teach, man. That's ultimately what we pushing. The time of Jacob's trouble. And the fact that it's on the horizon. And that's what our Lord Yahweh Shah was pushing, whom you people out there ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Because one of the major prophecies that our Lord prophesied was the time of 70 AD in the Roman onslaught, the persecution of the Christians, which pretty much started around 64 AD. And that's what I want to get into in the similarities with that time period with now. All right? So before I get into it, I want to get a quick precept. This is the book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. Right? So basically the things that was written before time was written as a shadow of things to come. So no matter how much you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans want to coexist with the so-called white man, the fact remains that that's your enemy, man. And just like he came up against you going all the way back to the serpent in the garden when Cain slew Abel, Jacob and Esau, the time of 70 AD, the antiquities of the Jews, Masada, when you was brought over here in those cargo slave ships, even up to the civil rights, the so-called civil rights movement. That's the devil being the devil. He's your enemy. So no matter how much you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and natives want to change that narrative, the fact remains this devil is going to wage war on you, man. And he's doing it right now. Right up under your nose, he's setting the stage to come up against you Israelites. All right? So let me read this. It says, Nero persecutes the Christians, which Nero was a Roman, which was a so-called white man. He was an Edomite. And who were the Christians? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and natives, the Israelites, all right? It says a generation after the death, it says of Christ, which we don't like to say that word, the right word there is Hamashiach. Christianity had reached Rome in the form of an obscure offshoot of Judaism, popular among the city's poor and destitute. Members of this religious sect spake of the coming of a new kingdom and a new king. And fast forward to the times we're in now, that's the same sentiment being played out. There's men among the poor, primarily here at Great Millstone, that's teaching of a new kingdom and a new king. So you see right there, that's one of the similarities of the time of 64 AD, going into 70 AD, the persecution of the Christians. And right now, this is the beginning stages of the Romans, the so-called white man, coming up against you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. The beginning stages were a group of men, a sect, a religious sect, if you will, was teaching of a new kingdom and a new king. These views provoked suspicion among the Jewish authorities who rejected the group and fear among the Roman authorities who perceived these sentiments as a threat to the empire. And that's what you have now. And right now, the authorities will come in the form of these so-called bankers, man. All right, these banking families, that elite that is ruling the world, that shadow government that's pulling the strings behind the scene. They well aware that the men of the Lord is teaching of a new kingdom. And they want to put that to bed. Reading on, it says, in the summer of 64, Rome suffered a terrible fire that burned for 6 days and 7 nights, consuming almost 3/4 of the city. The people accused the Emperor Nero for the devastation, claiming he set the fire for his own amusement. In order to deflect these accusations and placate the people, Nero laid blame for the fire on the Christians, and you're going to see that again, which that's a form of a false flag. That's why the scriptures tell you there's nothing new under the sun. That's the form of a false flag. Or either a auto apkeo, all right, which is creating chaos and bringing the order. So the chaos was set in the form of a fire, and the order was established by what? Blaming the Christians for it. And you're going to see that. That's why right now, more and more of these terrorist attacks, the suspect is, the face of terror is pretty much becoming more and more like the image of an Israelite that you see on the corner. And that's not a coincidence. That's these devils setting the stage to come up against us, man. All right? You see what just happened out there in NYC is getting all that coverage. That's these devils, man. They in the spirit of Nero, Rome, they being the devil, which that word devil means deceiver. It says Nero laid blame for the fire on the Christians. The emperor ordered the arrest of a few members of the sect who, under torture, accused others until the entire Christian populace was implicated and became fair game for retribution. And yeah, the key word there is torture. And this is going to come back again. Hey, these devils already got certain torture stations set up. They got concentration camps. You got Guantanamo Bay. You got places where they waterboard. These devils is going to show their horns, man. They're going to show their disdain for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Natives. All right? It says, accused others until entire Christian populace was implicated and became fair game for retribution. As many of these religious sects that could be found were rounded up and put to death in the most horrific manner for the amusement of the citizens of Rome. And we've been telling you guys that, man. All right? We've been telling you that these devils is going to round certain of us up. All right? But, hey, guess what? The men of the Lord, primarily here at Great Millstone, in the spirit, I believe we're going to escape that, man. And if the Lord do make it where some of us get caught up in that, the sincere men, he's going to set up scenarios for us to escape. Or if it's your lot to be a martyr for Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, then so be it. But the reason why I say that, because in the spirit, one of the brothers did a lesson, and they went into the terrorist list, and the men of Great Millstone was nowhere on the list, man. So it shows that the Most High is going to deliver us in those times. Matter of fact, let me get another quick precept. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 67. Chapter 16 and verse 67. It says, behold, the Most High himself is the judge. Fear him. Leave off from your sins and forget your iniquities to meddle no more with them forever. So shall the Most High lead you forth and deliver you from all trouble. Right, so the Lord, all trouble is the time, that's dealing with the time of Jacob's trouble, man. So the Lord is going to deliver us out of the clutches of these damn devils, all right? Why? Because we're in a time where the Lord is not with the so-called white man. When you go back to the time where we was being persecuted, we went into captivity. Well, guess what? The Lord was actually with the so-called white man bringing judgment on us because we was paying for breaking the law, statutes, and commandments. We was fulfilling the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. But now we're in a time where the Lord is drawing back to his people, man. And he's not with these damn devils no more, all right? So, yeah, that's pretty much it on this. Let me go back into these scriptures. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 16 and verse 67. Salaki, verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols, which is going into what? That chip. Because that's going to be the main motivation behind this martial law and New World Order being set up, for you to take that chip. So whoever don't have that chip, you're going to be rounded up, and they're going to feed you with things offered to idols, which is that chip. And if the Spirit of the Lord on you, you're going to resist that, all right? Verse 69. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden underfoot. Right, so whoever take that chip, pretty much going to be put to death. Verse 70, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. They shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. And that madmen, that's heavy because the Secretary of Defense is James Madman Mattis. You know? Verse 72, for they shall waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. And that's why this guy signed that martial law into the law, because they're going to be able to run up in your crib and just, and take everything you own, man. Verse 73, then shall there be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as the gold in the fire. Verse 74, hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, and that's right now. But I will deliver you from the same. Be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Most High is your God. So that's why I say, according to these scriptures, man, the men of the Lord is going to escape, man. We're going to escape from the upcoming impending danger that's on the horizon that's going to come in the form of martial law. Verse 76, and the guide of them who keep my commandments and precepts, saith the Lord power. Let not your sins weigh you down, and let not your iniquities lift up themselves. Right, and who are those who keep the commandments and precepts of the Lord? The men of the Lord, man, primarily here at Great Millstone. We the ones that filter everything through scriptures. We the ones that live our life according to the scriptures, which is spiritual, because every time we come across any obstacle or anything that happens, the scriptures come into our mind. That means we keep the commandments and we keep the precepts of the Lord, man. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. We're approaching the time where Esau is pretty much getting ready to wage war on you damn niggas, man. You Latinos and Native Americans, all right? So with that, shalom.